Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the cold air embraced him, Jesse shivered under the gentle breeze, embracing the unfamiliar sensation of his bare legs meeting the crisp fall air. Stepping away from the car, he adjusted the flowing fabric of his floral sundress, a unique choice for this time of year. Despite feeling exposed, he experienced a curious thrill. Olivia, his adventurous partner, burst out of the driver's seat, her costume already in place, a playful mustache and an oversized tie. "You're a vision!" She beamed, her eyes sparkling with approval. "I knew this gender-bending twist would be a hit for Halloween." Jesse offered a hesitant smile, his fingers nervously tugging at the soft cardigan he'd brought for comfort. "You're rocking that dress better than I ever could." Olivia linked her arm through his. "Now come on, Helena. Let's make an entrance." As they approached their friend's house, the thump of bass and muffled laughter grew louder. Jesse's heart raced. What if someone recognized him? What if they laughed? What if... "Relax," Olivia whispered, squeezing his arm. "You've got this." The front door swung open before they could knock, revealing their host, Chris, dressed as a zombie. His eyes widened as he took in their costumes. "Whoa! You two look incredible!" Olivia beamed. "Thanks. I'm Jessie for the night, and this lovely lady is Helena." Jesse managed a small wave, his cheeks burning. Chris ushered them inside. "Well, come on in, Helena. The party's just getting started." The living room was a sea of costumes. Superheroes, monsters, and pop culture icons mingled and danced. Jesse clung to Olivia's side, hyper-aware of the swish of fabric against his legs and the unfamiliar weight of the auburn wig on his head. "I'm going to grab us some drinks," Olivia said, detaching herself. "You okay for a minute?" Jesse nodded, not trusting his voice. As Olivia disappeared into the crowd, he found himself alone, adrift in a sea of strangers. He tugged at his cardigan, wishing he could disappear into its soft folds. "Love the dress," a voice said beside him. Jesse turned to find a tall woman in a vampire costume, smiling at him. "Where'd you get it?" "Oh, it's my girlfriend's," Jesse stammered, his voice pitched higher than usual. "We swapped for the night." The woman nodded approvingly. "Well, it suits you. I'm Evelyn, by the way." "Helena," Jesse replied, the fake name feeling strange on his tongue. Evelyn's eyes sparkled with interest. "So, Helena, what do you do when you're not rocking floral sundresses?" Jesse hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "I, work in graphic design." "No way! Me too!" Evelyn's face lit up. "What's your favorite software to work with?" As they fell into shop talk, Jesse felt himself relaxing. The constant awareness of his unusual attire faded to the background as he and Evelyn compared notes on clients and techniques. "And that's when I realized I'd accidentally sent the mock-up with the placeholder text still in place," Evelyn was saying, her laughter infectious. "Can you imagine? Lorem ipsum plastered all over their new logo." Jesse chuckled, shaking his head. "Oh no! What did the client say?" "Luckily they had a sense of humor about it, but I triple-check everything now before hitting send." A comfortable silence fell between them. Jesse realized with a start that he'd been chatting with Evelyn for nearly half an hour, and Olivia was nowhere in sight. "I should probably find my girlfriend," he said, a touch of reluctance in his voice. Evelyn nodded. "Of course. But before you go, Helena, can I ask you something?" Jesse tilted his head, curious. Sure. Evelyn leaned in slightly, her voice lowered. How long have you known? Known what? That you're more comfortable like this. Evelyn gestured to Jesse's outfit. As Helena. Jesse felt his breath catch. I don't know what you mean. It's just a costume. Evelyn's smile was gentle, understanding. Is it? Because the way you carry yourself, the way you've relaxed into it over the course of our conversation, it seems like more than that. Jesse's mind raced. Was he that transparent? Or was Evelyn just exceptionally perceptive? He opened his mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come.
It's okay,
Evelyn continued softly.
I've been where you are, trying to convince yourself it's just a game. Just dress up. But deep down, you know there's more to it.
Jesse's heart pounded. He glanced around, making sure no one was listening. How did you know? Like I said, I've been there, and I recognize the signs. Evelyn reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. If you ever want to talk about anything, give me a call. No pressure, just an offer of friendship and understanding. Jesse took the card with trembling fingers, slipping it into his cardigan pocket. Thank you, he whispered. Evelyn squeezed his arm gently. Remember, Helena, or whatever name feels right to you, you're not alone. As Evelyn melted back into the crowd, Jesse stood rooted to the spot, his mind whirling. He'd always pushed away the feelings, the curiosity, convinced they were nothing more than fleeting fantasies. But hearing Evelyn put it into words, There you are! Olivia's voice cut through his thoughts. She appeared at his side, 2 cups in hand. Sorry it took so long. I got caught up talking to Emma about her new job. Here, I got you a soda. Jesse accepted the drink, his other hand unconsciously touching the pocket where Evelyn's card rested. Thanks. Olivia frowned slightly. You okay? You look a little flushed. I'm fine, Jesse assured her, forcing a smile. Just a bit warm in here. As the night wore on, Jesse found himself hyper-aware of every interaction. He noticed the way some people's eyes lingered on him, not with judgment or mockery, but with a kind of recognition. Had they always looked at him that way, and he'd just never noticed? Or was it something about how he carried himself tonight? The party began to wind down around midnight. As they said their goodbyes and headed for the car, Jesse felt a mix of relief and reluctance. Part of him couldn't wait to get home and change back into familiar clothes. But another part wished the night could go on forever. So, Olivia said as they pulled out of the driveway. What did you think? Not so bad being Helena for a night, right? Jesse stared out the window, watching the streetlights blur past.
It was interesting,
he said carefully. Olivia glanced at him, a hint of concern in her voice. Just interesting? You seem to be having a good time talking to that vampire woman. Evelyn, Jesse supplied automatically. She's a graphic designer too. We had a lot to talk about. That's great! Olivia's enthusiasm seemed forced. I'm glad you made a new friend. The rest of the drive passed in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. As they pulled into their apartment complex, Olivia finally spoke again. Jesse, are you sure you're okay? You've been quiet ever since I found you talking to Evelyn. Jesse took a deep breath, turning to face his girlfriend. Can we talk? Inside? Olivia nodded, her expression a mix of concern and apprehension. Once inside their apartment, Jesse paced the living room, still in his pink floral sundress and cream cardigan. Olivia perched on the edge of the couch, watching him with worried eyes.
Liv,
Jesse began, his voice shaky.
I need to tell you something, and I'm not sure how you're going to take it.
Olivia reached out, taking his hand and pulling him to sit beside her. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together, okay? Jesse nodded, drawing strength from her touch. Tonight, being Helena, it awakened something in me. Something I've been pushing down for a long time. Olivia's brow furrowed. What do you mean? I mean... Jesse closed his eyes, gathering his courage. I think I might be transgender, or at least, I want to explore that possibility. The silence that followed felt endless. Jesse kept his eyes closed, too afraid to see Olivia's reaction. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, tentative. How long have you felt this way? Jesse opened his eyes, meeting Olivia's gaze. There was no judgment there, only concern and a desire to understand. I'm not sure. I've always had these feelings, but I never let myself acknowledge them. Tonight, talking to Evelyn, she saw right through me. She recognized something in me that I've been trying to ignore. Olivia nodded slowly, processing. And you're sure this isn't just the excitement of the costume? The thrill of trying something new? I don't think so, Jesse said. It feels right, like I'm finally being honest with myself, with you. Olivia squeezed his hand. I appreciate your honesty, Jesse. This is a lot to take in. I won't pretend I understand completely, or that I know what this means for us. But I want you to know that I love you, and I'm here for you. Tears welled in Jesse's eyes. I love you too, and I'm scared. I don't know what this means, or what comes next. Olivia pulled him into a hug, careful not to smudge her fake mustache against his wig.
We'll figure it out together, okay? One step at a time.
As they held each other, Jesse felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, he felt like he could face it honestly. The next morning, Jesse woke to sunlight streaming through the bedroom window. For a moment, he forgot about the events of the previous night. Then he saw the pink floral sundress draped over a chair, and it all came rushing back. He sat up slowly, careful not to wake Olivia. His girlfriend was still fast asleep, her fake mustache lying discarded on the nightstand. Jesse's heart swelled with affection and gratitude. Her acceptance, her willingness to stand by him even in the face of such a huge revelation, meant everything. Slipping out of bed, Jesse padded to the bathroom. He stared at his reflection in the mirror, really looking at himself for what felt like the first time. The stubble on his chin, the angular lines of his face. How had he never realized how wrong they felt? He ran a hand through his short auburn hair, remembering the feel of the wig from the night before, the way it had framed his face, softened his features. He closed his eyes, trying to recapture that image of Helena. A soft knock on the door startled him out of his reverie.
Jesse, you okay in there?
Yeah, he called back, clearing his throat. Just thinking. He opened the door to find Olivia standing there, concern etched on her face. How are you feeling this morning? Jesse considered the question. Scared, excited, confused. All of the above? Olivia nodded, understanding. That's totally normal. This is a big deal. Have you thought about what you want to do next? Jessie hesitated. I'm not sure. Part of me wants to dive right in, start exploring this side of myself. But another part is terrified of what that might mean. Olivia took his hand, leading him back to the bedroom. They sat on the edge of the bed, facing each other. Let's break it down, she suggested. What's the scariest part for you? Jessie thought for a moment. I guess the fear of rejection from friends, family, coworkers, and from you. Olivia's eyes softened. Jessie, I can't promise I'll understand everything right away, but I can promise that I'm not going anywhere. We're partners, remember? Whatever you decide, whatever path you choose, I'm with you. Tears pricked at Jessie's eyes. Thank you, he whispered. As for everyone else, Olivia continued, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, let's focus on you. What do you need to feel more comfortable exploring this? Jessie glanced at the pink sundress. I think I'd like to try dressing up again. Not for a party or as a costume, but just for me, to see how it feels. Olivia nodded encouragingly. We can do that. Why don't we go shopping later? Get you some clothes that are just yours, not borrowed from me. Really? Jessie's face lit up. You'd do that? Of course, Olivia smiled. It'll be fun, like a makeover montage in a movie, but with higher stakes and better music. Jessie chuckled, feeling a weight lift from his chest. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. They spent the morning researching, looking up resources for transgender individuals and allies. Jessie's head spun with new terminology and concepts, but Olivia was right there beside him, taking notes and asking questions. Around lunchtime, they decided to take a break and head to the mall. As they walked through the parking lot, Jessie felt a flutter of anxiety in his stomach. What if someone we know sees us? Olivia squeezed his hand. Then we'll say we're shopping for me, or for a play, or tell them to mind their own business. Whatever you're comfortable with. Jessie took a deep breath, nodding. Okay, let's do this. They started in a department store, browsing through racks of women's clothing. Jessie felt overwhelmed by the options, unsure where to begin. Olivia gently guided him towards styles similar to what he'd worn the night before. Soft, feminine pieces that wouldn't be too far outside his comfort zone. What about this? Olivia held up a pale blue blouse with delicate lace trim. Jessie ran his fingers over the fabric, imagining how it would feel against his skin. It's beautiful, he murmured. Olivia beamed. Great! Let's find a few more pieces and then hit the changing rooms. As they shopped, Jessie began to relax. He found himself drawn to flowy skirts, soft cardigans, and dresses in various shades of pink and purple. Each item felt like a small act of rebellion against the life he'd been living, a step towards authenticity. In the changing room, Jessie's hands shook as he slipped on the first outfit, a lavender sweater dress with the pale blue blouse underneath. He stared at his reflection, hardly recognizing himself. The clothes hugged his body in unfamiliar ways, accentuating curves he'd never noticed before. How's it going in there? Olivia called from outside. Jessie opened the door, stepping out hesitantly. Olivia's eyes widened, a slow smile spreading across her face. Wow, she breathed. You look amazing. Jesse turned to the full-length mirror, really taking in his appearance. The lavender color brought out the warm tones in his auburn hair, and the cut of the dress softened his angular frame. For the first time, he saw a glimpse of Helena, not as a costume, but as a potential reality.
I like it,
he said softly, smoothing his hands over the fabric. Olivia stood behind him, resting her chin on his shoulder.
I can tell. You're glowing.
They spent the next hour trying on different combinations, building a small wardrobe that felt authentically Jesse, or rather, authentically Helena. With each outfit, Jesse felt more comfortable, more at home in his own skin. As they left the store, shopping bags in hand, Jesse felt a mix of exhilaration and terror. This was real. He was really doing this.
What now?
He asked as they loaded the bags into the car. Olivia considered for a moment. Well, we've got the clothes. How about we work on some other aspects? Maybe get you some makeup or look into wigs. Jesse nodded, feeling a surge of excitement. Yeah, that sounds good. But can we do that another day? I think I need some time to process all of this. Of course, Olivia said, understanding. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We'll take it at your pace. As they drove home, Jesse's mind raced with possibilities. He thought about Evelyn's business card, still tucked away in the pocket of last night's cardigan. Maybe it was time to reach out, to talk to someone who truly understood what he was going through. Back at the apartment, Jesse carefully hung up his new clothes, marveling at how different his side of the closet looked now. Olivia watched from the doorway, a soft smile on her face. How are you feeling? She asked. Jesse turned to her, tears shimmering in his eyes. Overwhelmed, grateful, terrified, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the right path. Olivia crossed the room, pulling him into a tight hug. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. As they stood there, holding each other, Jesse felt a sense of peace wash over him. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with difficult conversations and potentially painful transitions. But with Olivia by his side and a growing understanding of his true self, he felt ready to face whatever came next. That night, as they lay in bed, Jesse stared at the ceiling, his mind still whirling with the events of the past 2 days.
Liv,
he whispered, unsure if she was still awake. Came the drowsy reply. I think I want to try using different pronouns. Just between us, for now. To see how it feels. Olivia rolled over to face him, fully awake now. Okay. What pronouns would you like to use? Jesse took a deep breath. She, her, and I think I'd like to try going by Helena, at least some of the time. Olivia smiled, reaching out to touch his cheek. All right, Helena, I can do that. Thank you for trusting me with this. Tears welled up in Jesse's, in Helena's, eyes. Thank you for being so amazing through all of this. I don't know what I'd do without you. Olivia pulled her close, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead.
You'd figure it out. You're stronger than you know, but I'm glad you don't have to do it alone.
As Helena drifted off to sleep, wrapped in Olivia's arms, she felt a sense of hope she hadn't experienced in years. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, but for now, in this moment, she was exactly where she needed to be. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of exploration and adjustment. Helena spent her evenings and weekends experimenting with her new wardrobe, learning to apply makeup with Olivia's patient guidance, and practicing a more feminine voice. Each small step felt like a victory, a piece of a puzzle falling into place. At work, Jesse still presented as male, but the knowledge of his true self simmered just beneath the surface. He found himself paying more attention to the women in the office, not out of attraction, but studying their mannerisms, their way of moving through the world. He began to incorporate small changes, crossing his legs when he sat, using more expressive hand gestures when he spoke. One afternoon, about a month after Halloween, Jesse sat at his desk, engrossed in a challenging design project. A shadow fell across his computer screen, and he looked up to find his coworker, Mark, standing there.
"Hey, Jesse,"
Mark said, an odd expression on his face. "Can we talk for a minute, in private?" Jesse felt a flutter of panic in his chest. Had Mark noticed the changes? Was he about to be confronted? "Sure," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Conference room?" They made their way to the small meeting space, Jesse's mind racing with possibilities. As Mark closed the door behind them, Jesse braced himself for the worst. "So," Mark began, fidgeting with his watch. "I'm not sure how to say this, but I saw you at the mall a couple weeks ago." Jesse's heart dropped. "Oh?" Mark nodded, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "Yeah. You were with Olivia, coming out of a women's clothing store. You both had a lot of bags." Jesse's mind whirled, trying to come up with a plausible explanation. But before he could speak, Mark continued. "Look, it's none of my business, but I just wanted you to know, whatever's going on with you, I support you, and if you ever need someone to talk to, or if anyone gives you a hard time, I've got your back." Tears pricked at Jesse's eyes. Of all the scenarios he'd imagined, this wasn't one of them. Thank you, Mark. That means a lot." Mark smiled, reaching out to squeeze Jesse's shoulder. "We're a team, right? And teams support each other, no matter what." As they left the conference room, Jesse felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He wasn't ready to come out at work yet, but knowing he had at least one ally made the prospect a little less daunting. That evening, as Helena tried on outfits for a dinner date with Olivia, she found herself thinking about Mark's words. She'd been so focused on the potential negative reactions that she'd overlooked the possibility of acceptance and support. "What do you think?" Helena asked, twirling in a deep purple wrap dress. "Too much for a casual dinner?" Olivia looked up from her book, her eyes widening appreciatively. "Wow, you look stunning. But are you sure you're ready for this? Going out in public as Helena, I mean." Helena took a deep breath, smoothing her hands over the soft fabric. "I think so. I can't hide forever, right? And I want to start living authentically, even if it's just for one night." Olivia stood, crossing the room to wrap her arms around Helena's waist. "I'm so proud of you, and I'll be right there with you, every step of the way." As they drove to the restaurant, Helena felt a mix of excitement and terror. She'd spent hours on her makeup, making sure everything was perfect. Her auburn wig was carefully styled, framing her face in soft waves. But would it be enough? Would people see through her, judge her? Olivia seemed to sense her anxiety. As they pulled into the parking lot, she reached over and squeezed Helena's hand. "Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You're a beautiful woman going out to dinner with her girlfriend. That's all anyone needs to know." Helena nodded, drawing strength from Olivia's words. "Okay, let's do this." They entered the restaurant hand in hand, Helena's heart pounding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. But as the hostess greeted them with a warm smile and led them to their table, Helena began to relax. No one was staring, no one was pointing or whispering. As they settled into their seats, Olivia beamed at her across the table. "See? You've got this." The evening passed in a blur of good food, laughter, and meaningful conversation. Helena found herself relaxing more and more, allowing her true personality to shine through. She gestured animatedly as she told stories, her voice settling into its new, higher register with surprising ease. As they were finishing their dessert, a waiter approached their table.
"Excuse me, ladies,"
he said with a smile.
"The couple at table 12 asked me to give you this."
He placed a folded note on the table and disappeared. Helena and Olivia exchanged curious glances before Helena reached for the paper with trembling fingers. Inside, in neat handwriting, was a simple message. "You two make a beautiful couple. Thank you for brightening our evening with your joy and love. Amanda and Sophie." Helena looked up, tears shimmering in her eyes. Olivia reached across the table, taking her hand. "What is it, babe?" Wordlessly, Helena passed her the note. As Olivia read it, her face lit up with a radiant smile. "Oh, Helena, see? The world isn't as scary as we sometimes think it is." As they left the restaurant, Helena felt as though she was walking on air. The night had been a resounding success, a validation of her journey and her truth. In the car, Olivia turned to her, eyes shining with pride and love. "So, how does it feel? Your first night out as the real you?" Helena considered the question, a slow smile spreading across her face. "It feels right, like I've finally stepped into the person I was always meant to be." As they drove home, Helena's mind wandered to the future. There were still challenges ahead, coming out to family and friends, navigating the complexities of transitioning at work, the physical aspects of her transformation. But for the first time, those challenges didn't seem insurmountable. She thought of Mark's support at work, of the kind note from strangers at the restaurant. She thought of Olivia's unwavering love and acceptance. And she thought of herself, the person she was becoming, the woman she'd always been inside. The road ahead would be long and sometimes difficult, but Helena knew, with a certainty that filled her entire being, that it was the only road worth traveling. As they pulled into their apartment complex, Helena turned to Olivia, her heart full of love and gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything. For loving me, for supporting me, for helping me become who I really am." Olivia leaned over, pressing a gentle kiss to Helena's lips. "Always," she whispered. "I love you, Helena, all of you." As they walked hand in hand towards their apartment, Helena felt a sense of peace settle over her. The journey of self-discovery that had begun on Halloween night was far from over, but with each step, each day lived authentically, she was becoming more and more herself, and that, Helena realized, was the greatest treat of all.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!